For the longest time, I never really understood the appeal of visual novels. Instead of having a portrait of a character that cycles between three different poses while reading a wall of text, you could just read a book. Okay, yeah, no, never mind. Who reads books nowadays? I also got really into anime a while back. I didn't really want it to get into those big, long running franchises, besides JoJo's, not because they were generally popular, but they just looked like they took too long to go through. So, while scrolling through Hulu, which surprisingly had a lot of anime, I found this one that looked kind of interesting. It was called Fate Zero, and I absolutely loved it. And I'll probably cover it at some point. At some point. After finishing Zero, I found that it had a sequel series, Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. After binging UBW and finishing the movie trilogy, Heaven's Feel, I went back to watch the 2006 anime. And then, I went diving into the hell that is this series. But finally, after I finally finished all of that, I finally decided to read the original visual novel that started it all. Fate Stay Night, a visual novel released in Japan on January 30th, 2004 for the PC. This was the second visual novel to be created by Kanoku Natsu, with the first one, Tsukihime, releasing 4 years prior. There are some of you that might be wondering, how do you even read Fate Stay Night? Well, you see, all you have to do is go to YouTube, go to the search bar, type Fate Stay Night full playthrough, and done. But seriously, by the time I'm writing this portion of the script, January 12th, 2024, there's no official way to read Fate Stay Night legally in the US. But the game itself has been re-released quite a few times though. The original PC version came out in 2004, and it's what you would call an eroge, something that focuses on more sexual content, and that's all I'll say for now. Then, in 2007, a new version called Fate Stay Night Rialto Nua was released for the PS2 in Japan. This version provided voice acting, removal of certain sexual scenes, and a few other extras. This version was later re-released on the PS Vita in 2012, which added the option to change the aspect ratio of the game. I remind you, still only in Japan. When I started working on this video, writing the script and getting the footage and things, Fate Stay Night was never released in the West. But then, just as I started writing the introduction to this script, this was announced. So, yep. The version I'm using for this video is called Fate Stay Night Rialto Nua Ultimate Edition, a fan translation by Mirror Moon, a translation team that also worked on translating the original Tsukihime as well. So, before the announcement, there was a small section of the video where I was going to show you where to find and install the Ultimate Edition, but since the official version has been announced, and released depending on when I get this video done, I decided to remove that section. I mean, it's pretty easy to find online, but hey, it's cool that Fate Stay Night is now easily available. And one more thing, I am using a fan translation, so just take everything in this video with just a grain of salt, especially with the official translation coming out, or being out, depending on when I get this video done. Small note, this specific part of the script that I'm recording, the official version is coming out in like 2 days, I think, like 1 to 2 days. It's like August 5th. So yeah, it's really, I'm never gonna get this fucking video done. Just for this video, I decided to just buy Rialto Nua for the PS2, just for this video. It's really cool. It's cool. Huh. Oh, would you look at that? I seem to have misplaced the disc. Foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. This is foreshadowing. When I came to, I was in a burning field. I guess there was a big fire. The familiar town had burned to ashes, and it looked like the remains of a battlefield from a movie. But that didn't last long either. fire died down by the time the sun rose. The tall wall of the flame had shortened, and most of the buildings had fallen. It felt strange, being the only thing in that place that still had its original form. I was the only one still alive around here. I must have been very lucky, or my house was built in a very lucky spot. I don't know which it was, but the point is, I was the only one left alive. I felt that since I survived, I should live on. I started walking aimlessly because I thought it'd be dangerous just to stay there. I wasn't really concerned about being burned up like the people around me. Probably because, over and above not wanting to be like them, I had a stronger feeling in my mind. But still, I had no hope. It was already a wonder I was alive, so I couldn't expect to be saved. I won't survive. Whatever happens, I won't be able to escape from this red world. It was such an absolute hell that even a child could understand it. And I collapsed. Was it because there was no air? Was it because there was no function left in my body? Anyway, I collapsed and stared up at the cloudy sky. Everything around me was burned up, and I could see so many shriveled people. Dark clouds loomed overhead, telling me it would rain soon. That's good. The fire will be put out once it rains. In the end, I sigh deeply and look up at the sky. I say to myself that it hurts. I say so on behalf of the people who couldn't even say so. That was 10 years ago. After that, I was miraculously saved. My body survived. But I think all the other things about me burned up and were reduced to ashes. If you take away a child's parents, home, and all such things, there's nothing left for him. That's why there was only my body. I think it's a simple story. In other words, in order to let my body live, my heart died. Waking up in a dark shed, we're greeted by a purple-haired girl. Shiro Emiya is woken up by a girl named Sakura Mato. After she wakes him up, they leave the shed. Well, before that, we get many detailed descriptions on some of the items in the shed, as well as a strange-looking altar on the floor. After leaving the shed, we're greeted with one of the first of many decisions in the game. Throughout the game, we'll get decisions that will lead Shiro through many different situations, with some of them not being very important, or some that could majorly affect the story. Either way, you should probably save whenever these come up, because you could probably go back to choose another option and watch how differently the situation turns out, and for other reasons that we'll get to later on. Anyways, the first decision is to help Sakura make breakfast, or finish Shiro's routine. I decided to do the latter, because it's not your fucking route yet, wait your goddamn turn. This leads us to the dojo, where Shiro trains. After he finishes, we head inside where we see Sakura cooking. We also learn here that Sakura has regularly been coming to Shiro's home in the morning for about a year and a half. During breakfast, we meet a new character named Taiga Fujimura, a teacher at Shiro's school and sort of his caretaker since his father died 5 years ago. His father, Kiritsugu Emiya, adopted Shiro about 10 years ago when he lost his birth parents during a certain incident. We learn that Fujimura had been an acquaintance of Kiritsugu, which is why her and Shiro sort of have a sibling relationship throughout the game. Taiga finishes eating and then leaves, with Shiro and Sakura cleaning up and leaving as well. The two then start to walk to school, with Shiro heading to the student council room once they make it. This is where we meet a new character here, Issei, another friend of Shiro's. He's usually very calm and stoic, and I like him too. The game does a really good job of fleshing out the status quo of Shiro so far. especially when it comes to the era he lives in and the people he's close to. When Shiro enters the room, he asks Issei if there's any work he needs to do around the school, with Issei needing him to fix a heater. You know, there is one thing I neglected to mention about Shiro. Back then, 10 years ago, after the certain incident that Shiro was involved in, he wakes up in a hospital bed. He is then greeted by a man named Kiritsugu Emiya. He gave Shiro two options. Either 1, go to an orphanage, or 2, be adopted by him. Once Shiro chose the latter, Kiritsugu started to pack up all his things. He also told him something extremely important. A magus is essentially the equivalent of a wizard, or a mage, or a magician. They can control magic in some type of way. Shiro uses some sort of magic to see inside of the heater so he can fix the problem. After he fixes the heater, he heads outside of the classroom to tell Issei that he's finished, only to see him talking with a girl, Rin Tosaka. Since Issei isn't really fond of Rin, he quickly leads Shiro to fix something else, with Shiro greeting Rin as they leave. I'm just gonna skip to the end of the day since there's nothing else that's really important to talk about and... Damn it. After the two finish their work, they make it back to class, with Shinji Mato greeting Shiro as he makes it to his seat. Shinji, Sakura's older brother and supposedly Shiro's friend from middle school. Shinji is an asshole. A huge fucking asshole. But we'll get into that later. By the end of the school day, we get another two options. Go to work, or help out Issei in the student council. Shiro is someone who always likes to help people, never really turning down requests when he's asked to do something. Issei himself is a little worried about that, saying to Shiro that he could be overwhelmed and used by, in his words, heartless idiots. By the end of the two choices, Shiro walks home on his own. He then suddenly spots a little girl wearing all purple. As he passes her, she whispers something very cryptic to him.
早く呼び出さないと死んじゃうよ、お兄ちゃん。
Once Shiro makes it back home, he has dinner with Taiga and Sakura. While eating, Taiga scolds Shiro for coming home so late, guessing that he was probably out helping someone. This eventually leads into a conversation about how Shiro wanted to be, a hero of justice when he was younger. Later in the night, Shiro decides to train in the shed. Now, at this point here, this is where we learn the basics of the magic system in this series. The very basics. Things like what a magic circuit and what a magic crest are, as well as Shiro's own magic, strengthening magic. Magical circuits are essentially extra nerves that every magus has. This is what allows them to generate magical energy from the world itself. A magic crest is basically a series of magical circuits, forged together to generate magical energy in a more stable form. A magus generally puts their circuits into a crest so they can pass it on down to their children, or singular child. The thing is, Shiro doesn't have this, because Kiritsugu died before he could ever pass it on to him. A magus can only pass down their crest to someone of blood relation, so it's not like he could have anyways. I've been saying magical energy a lot, so I guess I should explain that too. Magical energy comes in two forms: OD, the small amount that generates from oneself, and mana, energy from the world itself. Since Shiro is pretty weak at the start of the story, he can only use one type of magic: strengthening magic. Strengthening magic allows the user to understand the basic structure of an object and even channel magic into it, reinforcing it to make it stronger. Shiro was only able to learn this magic through Kiritsugu training him. Kiritsugu didn't want Shiro to become a magus, even though Shiro begged him. Even when he finally caved in and decided to teach him, he only taught him the most basic things, like strengthening. But Shiro himself didn't want to become a magus. He wanted to be like Kiritsugu. Oh my god, we're only on day 2. Shiro heads to his school on his own since Taiga and Sakura went early. As he makes it to school, we meet another new character, Ayaku Mitsuri, the captain of the school's archery club that Shiro used to be in. The two have a little back and forth until the conversation leads to Shinji, with him being an asshole at practice. After school, Shiro heads to a part-time job, and he's done by the time the sun set. While he walks home, he stares up in the sky, gazing at a tall building. But then he sees something strange. It's Rin. Just as Shiro gets a good look at Tosaka, she disappears. Shiro doesn't really question it, and just heads home. Tosaka has some really strange hobbies. Shiro wakes up, gets breakfast, and heads to school with Sakura. But a strange mark had appeared on Shiro's hand. He doesn't feel any pain with it, so he just brushes it off and heads to school with Sakura. The moment that Shiro makes it to school, he immediately notices that something is off, but decides to chalk it up to his imagination and goes on with his day. The school day ends and Shiro starts to head home, but Shinji stops him and asks him to do a little favor for him. Since he's a lazy bum, he asks Shiro to clean up after the archery club, something that he was supposed to do. Shiro accepts the request, immediately heading to the dojo. After a few hours of cleaning, Shiro finally decides to head home, until he suddenly hears a strange noise. He decides to check out the schoolyard, as that's where the strange noise is coming from. As he gets closer, the sounds of metal clashing get louder, with him finally seeing... Shiro, while hiding behind a tree, is stunned at the sight. Two quote-unquote men, one in red and one in blue. The two of them are trying to kill each other, Shiro all the while not being able to comprehend the fight. He was immediately able to tell that neither of them were human. The intent to kill emanated strongly from the man in blue. Shiro senses an overwhelming amount of energy from the man in blue. I'm just gonna call him Lancer now. I'm gonna start. Man in blue. I'm just gonna. Shiro takes a breath as he knows that the man in red will die if he gets hit by Lancer's attack. But in that moment, taking that breath was a mistake. Lancer notices and stares at the boy that's watching. Shiro immediately bolts into the school as fast as he can. As he thinks he got away, he starts to catch his breath. Shiro is still stunned at the sight he just witnessed, as well as thinking that he saw a third figure that was standing nearby the fight. But once again, he lets his guard down, with this time being fatal.
運が悪かったな、坊主。ま、見られたからには死んでくれや。
Shiro is pierced directly into the heart. So, Shiro's fucking dead, I guess. The end, I guess. Yeah, no, we're only like 2 hours in. Of course he's not dead. In a comatose state, Shiro hears footsteps. A girl commands someone called Archer to go after Lancer. The girl is amazed that Shiro isn't dead, but then she's just as stunned as if she recognizes who he is. The girl heals Shiro and then leaves. After a while, he wakes up in pain. Shiro sees all the blood on the floor and on his uniform. So, Shiro decides to stand up and then grabs a mop and a bucket and starts cleaning up the blood. Like he's even questioning why he's doing it. While staggered, Shiro heads home. Although in pain, at least he survived, somehow. But before he has any time to ponder about what he really saw, an alarm that Shiro set up goes off, alerting that there's an intruder in the house. He immediately looks for a weapon, only to see a poster on the floor that Fujimura left yesterday. He grabs it and pours magical energy into it. Just as he finishes strengthening it, Lancer attacks from above, with Shiro just barely managing to dodge it. Lancer's a bit pissed off at the fact that he has to kill the same person twice. Shiro just barely manages to block some of Lancer's attacks. Even so, Shiro has no way of competing with Lancer, as his limbs start to go numb from trying to attack and block him. As Lancer gets ready to attack once again, Shiro breaks the window to escape. After blocking another one of Lancer's attacks, Shiro is sent flying, being launched all the way to the shed, just from one kick from Lancer. Shiro immediately runs into the shed to look for a better weapon, but as soon as he tries to block another attack with the poster, it is pierced and loses the magical energy that Shiro poured into it, which finally leaves him out of options. While being somewhat impressed that Shiro has been able to survive this long against him, Lancer goes for the kill. This is bullshit. I can't accept this. I can't just die here meaninglessly. I was saved. So I can't die so easily. I have to live and fulfill my obligations. If I die, I can't do that. But the lance will pierce me. The spearhead will cut into my flesh and pierce my heart. It pisses me off. It's ridiculous to kill someone that easily. It's ridiculous for me to die so easily. Dying twice in one day, that's ridiculous as well. Damn it. Everything is so messed up I can't contain it all in. I won't be killed so meaninglessly. By someone like you. As if answering his denial of death, something repels the lance from Shiro's heart. Lancer escapes the shed as he's currently at a disadvantage. Keeping her guard up, a mysterious woman turns to look at Shiro. Shiro is completely stunned at the sight he sees before him, and the young woman in armor only says one thing to him.
とう、あなたが私のマスターか。